Who do you think has the biggest influence to make positive change, like real change? Is it the person with the money? Is it the person with the biggest mic? Is it the person that goes into politics? What is the best way to have the biggest impact?
Yeah, so I think the world has always only ever been a battle for influence. Even if you look at the current battlefield, Ukraine is next door, it's 5 hours drive away. The battle in Ukraine is not just about tanks and trenches and grenades. It's a battle for influence. Who influences the people within this territory? Who is in charge of the thinking, the language, the mindset of people within this geographical area? Every single battle, every single pitched battle, every single argument, every single debate has always been a battle for influence. If you have influence, you're an extremely powerful person. I would like to believe I gave a positive influence and a positive impact on their lives for the rest of their life. I believe if you go through life and you're genuinely a good person, you try your best to be good to people, and you're honest and you shake hands and you don't lie and you're on time and you work hard and you're good to everyone who's good to you, I think you'll have a massive influence. And I also believe, I truly believe that God is extremely giving. There's the saying, goes around, comes around. Completely true. But I would say it comes from God. God is keeping an eye on you and he's paying attention to you and he knows the kind of person you are and the kind of things you do. And I don't believe if you're actually genuinely a good person all of the time, that you're not going to get some goodwill back to you. If you're good to people, if you're generous to people, if you're helpful to people, you'd be amazed how much influence you can build up. I say this to people all the time. I don't think if you're a hardworking person who is honest, who shakes hands, who tries to learn, who does what they're supposed to do, who has a good heart, that you're truly, really not going to be able to get what you want. I think the universe is absolutely and utterly giving. When I see somebody who says they want something and they don't have it, I don't even think they truly even want it. You can have anything you want in the world. When a guy goes, I want a six-pack, then why ain't got one? If you wanted it, you have it. You'd like it. There's a bunch of things I'd like that I don't have, but I don't want them. Everything I've ever wanted, I've got. I've never wanted something and not had it. We all know what we're talking about here. There's things we'd like. I'd like to be able to figure skate. Not enough to go learn to figure skate.
When you were 20, were you this driven?
Oh, absolutely.
Okay, so when you're 20, who did you look at and say, I can do it as good as him, if not better?
My coach, because I wanted to fight, and he used to beat me badly. Everyone used to beat me up when I was young, and I wanted to be the best, so I used to go into the fight championship.
Okay, how about communication? Who'd you look at? Were you always a good communicator? I can see you being a great communicator since you were 14 years old. I
was pretty good, yeah.
Okay, who did you look at and say, that guy's good, but I think I can, do it better?
That's a good question. And I think that I don't know if there's one particular person I took nuances from, because when you're a great communicator, you know how to be serious and you know how to make people sad and angry, and you also know how to make people laugh. There's different people who can do lots of different things.
Was that? Was it somebody that was multifaceted like that?
I think it was a lot of different people. And I also think that...
Did you pull from comedy as well, or no?
Certainly did, but I was also extremely self-critical. I think that's where a lot of it comes from. I'll watch this podcast back 15 times. I will notice every single time I made a mistake. Just then I said, I'll watch twice. That was a mistake. I will watch this back 15 times and I will identify every single error. My father was a linguist for the CIA. He spoke Russian and German and Spanish and English. And I think I've told this before. Back then, when they needed someone who spoke Russian, they would take a Native American and teach them Russian. Nowadays, we have a bunch of Russian-speaking allies. You can go to Estonia, Latvia, Lithuania. They're all NATO and just get a Russian speaker. Back then, they taught my dad Russian, and he held the Air Force record for the fastest assimilation of a foreign language. When he died, a guy sent me a message saying, you don't know who I am, but I worked with your father in the Air Force, and he had the fastest assimilation. He learned Russian in 2 weeks. Crazy. And I remember saying to my dad, will you teach me Russian? He said, boy, you don't even know English. I said, what do you mean? He goes, you don't even know English. And once he sat me down with a dictionary, I was like, you're right. I don't even know English. That's why I've lived in Romania 7 years. People say, why don't you speak Romanian? Because I don't know English yet. You speak to me in Russian. And I reply to you in Russian to you. I cannot be misunderstood or misconstrued. I don't make a fool of myself. You can't get me on some vernacular trick. I speak my language, and I also prefer that also. I speak English, that's what I speak. If you want to speak to me, you speak to me in my language, so I will win the debate, always.
Imagine the 20-year-old that's watching this that's saying, no, Tate, don't give me the answer for anybody can create, can contribute to society. I'm not that guy. Talk to me like I'm one in a million. Talk to me like I'm one in. So if I'm willing to give, 20 years, 30 years of my life to
Yep.
one way to go out to make true positive impact
Yep.
in America, my country,
Yep.
in the world.
Yep.
What should, don't talk to me like everybody else.
Okay.
Hold the standards. What should I do? What angle
Absolutely.
should I do?
Okay, so first things first, you need to be worthy of respect. And you're going to be worthy of respect through having things which are difficult to acquire. So first things first, the basic things, you need to be very focused on trying to make money because people listen to you when you have money. They just do. Secondly, you need to be in fantastic physical condition because when you're in fantastic physical condition, it cannot be bought. It must be earned. If someone walked in to sell me something and they were obese, I would not trust them the same as if they were in fantastic physical shape. Because I'd say, I don't think you have dedication and heart. I don't think there's something about you that I just wouldn't trust you the same. So fantastic physical condition and money is the first thing. The second thing, whatever your ideas are, you need to learn how to communicate them. Speaking is a superpower in and of itself. You need to become a fantastic communicator. You need to be comfortable in all realms of communication. You need to be persuasive. You need to be comfortable arguing. You need to be good at debate. If you're 20 years old and you want to change the world, you need to be having endless debates. Endless. Without resorting to name calling, not on Twitter like a dummy, in person. And you need to come across in a way that people agree with you. We can go back quickly and talk about the red pill. The difference between me when I talk to girls on these panel shows and every other guy when they talk to girls on these panel shows is, when I'm done, all the girls want me. Not many people know this, but I used to sell windows. You know the old school knock on the door? Window sales. I did window sales for 2 or 3 years, and I'd say this is one of the hardest jobs you can possibly do. And I would always recommend a young man, if he has some time to waste, to go sell windows. And the reason, it's fantastic, because I'll tell you why. It's the hardest one to sell because, one, nobody wants them. 2, they don't know who you are. And 3, even if you convince them that they need windows, after them not knowing who you are, then they go to all your competitors and then it becomes a price war. It's a nightmare. It's the hardest sales job. If you're selling a Lambo, at least they want the Lambo, right? Nobody wants glass and plastic. They already have windows. So you gotta find a way to sell them these windows. How do you do that? And that's where all this master communication comes in. And it's so many subtle little things. Being a good salesman is not necessarily being a liar. It's not being a trickster. It's just understanding what's gonna make the person believe and understand what you say. You're a loser. You're a dumbass. Andrew, why you mean? Because you're not gonna go to the gym unless I tell you you're a fucking loser. And you are a loser, and I'm not lying to you. You are a loser. The emotional trigger you need to get up off that chair is the fact that you're not important, nobody cares who you are, any girl you're ever in love with I could take, and you're insignificant. And when you die, nobody's interested. That's your fault. You could have been something else. You did that. You failed. But to answer your question, for the 20-year-old, he needs to become a master at communicating. But also to be a master at communicating, you also need experiences worth talking about. You have to live a life. You need a degree of wisdom, and wisdom doesn't always come with age, it comes with life lived. You can't be an empty vessel either. So when you say you're telling me how I build this 20-year-old into a super soldier, yeah, he has to be a master communicator, but he also has to do things which are risky. Risk has value intrinsically linked to it, intrinsically. This is why people, when you do risky things, people want to hear the story. Your coolest stories involve risk. Something went wrong, this could have happened, I almost this, I made it out. Without these risks, you haven't got it. So I would say to the 20-year-old, do what I did, get in the cage. Get in the ring, knock someone out, get knocked out, train hard. Fighting will teach you everything you need to know about life. You'll learn everything about who you truly are. You'll learn if you're a coward or not. You'll learn everything about perseverance and hard work and dedication, everything about being underappreciated. You learn everything about fear. You learn all of it. When I had a fight coming up and I was weight drained and I had barely eaten in weeks and I'd lost all this weight and I had a world title fight and I'm fighting a guy who might kill me and she's complaining about the toilet seat. I learned all about women. You learn a lot about life through these difficult processes and paths. And there used to be for men like a rite of passage. In most societies, you had to go through something to become a man, from a boy to a man. But that thing was always difficult. It's always been difficult. Now you have to self-induce it, self-inflict it. But if you're gonna be a boy and never bring on that self-inflicted rite of passage, how are you gonna ever become a man?
It's great feedback.